welcome to New Mommy Revelations, a podcast by New Mommy Life. And so today's topic is about mom guilt, and the title is Mom Guilt: How to Deal So You Can Heal. And so my personal story with mom guilt all began back in around 2015, 2016 when I gave birth. In 2015, I gave birth. And then I started and became the founder of the New Mommy Life channel, YouTube channel, and brand. And just full transparency, guilt was setting in that very first year and a half, 2 years, because I was so caught up in comparison. I was so caught up in all the pretty pictures, all the visuals, all the aesthetic beauty vibes of like all the influencers in different niches. However, of course, me being in the mommy space, I was more like in that sector. And I was just in a constant hamster wheel of like, I have to create, I have to produce, I need to perform, I got to get these videos filmed, I got to get this, these videos edited, I got to get this blog post written. Like, I have to just create, I have to do. I was just like in go mode 24/7. And it took its toll on me. Like, it took a toll on Kind, our daughter. It took a toll on our relationship. I just was like, between her father and I, it was just so much that was just like at an intersection of chaos. I felt like if you could look at like a street map and there's like an intersection of two streets, like I'm in the middle of it, like in complete chaos. And it was like everything that was driving down those two streets was adding to the chaos. And the sad part about it is, well, it was funny, like looking back at it in hindsight, but the sad part was I was the one that was willingly offering and accepting the chaos. Like, I was creating it, accepting it, and thinking it was normal, all because I was chasing this ever elusive idea of like production and, production value, and I have to create and I have to like show up and perform. And I know now, looking back at it, a lot of that I have to really give myself grace and compassion, because a lot of it really just flat out wasn't my fault. I'm saying a lot to say is I was under so much pressure at the time to perform and to do all these things, which was a big contributor to my mom guilt that I felt at the time, was because financially we were in a terrible place. Like, so I immediately just like went into survival mode and scarcity mode and like just like scrimping and scraping and freaking out over every single penny, and thinking that the only way out of this was through production, in terms of me producing, me doing something, me physically getting up and making something happen, which got me in that comparison game of like, I need to be able to perform at this level, therefore we need XYZ. And that was just where my mind was. I really just had to kind of go through a dark night of the soul one night, because I had really spiraled out into just like an internal chaos. Like, I don't even think anyone around me could really understand it, because it was really more of an internal battle. But I remember sitting and being in our bedroom one evening, and I was breastfeeding, and I was missing out on one of the most precious times to bond with my beautiful baby I just birthed into the world months prior, because I was sitting there thinking about content ideas. Yes, I was doing that. I was missing out on one of the most important times in her life and in my life that we will never get back, because I was so caught up in production and producing. And YouTube, of course, was my love, and it still is to this day. But that's what I was focusing on. So I'm planning in my mind how I could create some content out of something I think I might have worked on earlier, or whatever I had going on that day or that week. And I'm trying to figure out ways to map it out to make it more profitable. So I was like, I had a blog post I was working on, and I was thinking of like, ooh, how can I add some more Amazon affiliate links? And how could I sell this new product I'm developing? And how do I da-da-da-da? And I literally was sitting there thinking that. And it made me think about like how people can be with you physically, but emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, like they're completely checked out. That's how I felt. And that's how I knew that I had hit rock bottom. And then I spiraled out into a deep postpartum depression. Thank God for my therapist. I did seek therapy, professional therapy, for about 5 months, almost 6 months, 5 months. And thank God for her. She was an angel, and is now literally, she is no longer living on this side of the realm. But I am so grateful to God to have had her in my life at that time. Because I didn't have the support around me at all when I think back at it. And this is going to be the transparency part of the truth again, because I'm like, I didn't really have the best support system at the time around me. I was literally doing everything by myself, figuring it out by the seat of my pants. And that was a big part of where this mom guilt came from, because it was like, not only am I failing, and like the primitive side of like being that nurturing, being that, loving mom, of like, gosh, I'm a failure because I'm so stressed out that my milk is drying up. So I'm not even able to feed my baby. That was like the biggest thing that was eating up at me. And then like financially, I'm a failure. And then now, because now financially, I'm feeling even more, because now we have to go buy formula that we can't afford, because my breasts are not producing enough milk for her, because I'm so stressed out, because I'm so thinking about content all day, because I'm thinking about money all day, because I'm thinking about how I'm not keeping up and how I'm not good enough and I'm not, pretty enough, and I'm not, I didn't bounce back fast enough, and I didn't have, how I didn't have this pretty gadget like how all the other influencers have, and I didn't get the PR packages so I could do all these cool videos, and I was just so caught up in that. And I know a lot of it can seem like it was like a competitive thing, but it really wasn't a competitive thing. Like, that's never really how I've been. I've always been very communal and very family oriented. For me, it was really more so about me understanding how business works and me understanding how the influencer landscape works. I mean, that's kind of like a new thing at the time. I think it's evolved into what it is today, but influencers and influencer marketing, influencer campaigns and stuff like that, that's always been a thing, obviously, because we have, celebrities who endorse campaigns, we have endorsements and whatnot. However, for me, because I understand a lot of that at a high level, I knew that I had to build myself up first before I could even think about being a part of a community. So I know those YouTube channel manager aggregator thingies were kind of a big thing. I don't think they're like that prominent now, or if they've evolved differently now. I knew that I really wasn't in a position to even submit myself to be, potentially picked up, because I knew I didn't have enough to offer. Also dealing with me thinking that, okay, let me pitch myself to a potential, brand or a potential YouTuber that I think we could do some cool things, together. They're not going to look at me over here with my little 100, 200 subscribers when they're, in 200,000s or millions of subscribers. They're going to look at me like, who's this little girl? Who does she think she is? She's going to sit up here and like ride my coattails? I don't think so. I built this brand. I'm not going to just let some random Joe Schmo come on my channel. So I knew that I had to be a value add from the business perspective. So I definitely wasn't being naive about it. At the same time, I wasn't coming into it from a competitive standpoint. It was really more just like me, being very business savvy, of understanding like marketing and how things work and people getting an ROI and like what's a true value add in exchange. Like, I understand that. So that was part of it too, because, I just have that business acumen about me that I've always had, because I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit. So I understand, how that goes. And so it was just all of that jumbled into a bunch of just, like I said, a ball of just complete, pure chaos. And as I'm talking right now, I'm probably going to listen back to this as I edit this episode. And I don't even know if I'm going to even understand myself to make sense, because it was just such a crazy, chaotic time that I don't even know. Well, I do know it was something but the grace of God that got me and kind out of that. Like, it was just crazy. How the amount of chaos that I was just in internally, that was just, showing up externally, because obviously internally, externally, like as above, so below, as within, so without. And so it's like, it's all interconnected. But yeah, that was a big thing with mom guilt with me, of like being in this, mompreneur, small business owner slash, influencer, literally a new mom, just fresh off the birthing table a few months ago, breastfeeding, all the pressures and demands of just being an adult. And I do remember, from the very onset of like when I first started YouTube, my only goal was just to earn enough passive income from our Google AdSense account just to pay rent. So I knew, like, okay, we're living in Los Angeles. This is not a cheap city. It's going to be at least $3,000 a month for the size of a space that we need as a growing family. And also to be in a nice neighborhood that's access to, things that, we need. And that would just be conducive, for us and for Kind to grow and to flourish. And so, I mean, that was really all that I wanted to do. And so I remember just like working so hard for that. Like that was like my end all be all. Like I was up all night just like completely obsessed with that. Like obsessed with numbers, obsessed with, the metrics and the ROI and the data, looking at the back end of things and trying to figure out how to do this and how to do that, how to tweak this. And, you got to like, tweak the thumbnails, but don't make it too clickbaity. But kind of you are still doing clickbait because it's all clickbait if you think about it. And then like the title has to be right and like the keyword has to match. And then you find out you can like download these cool softwares and you go find out the people that you like and who they like and go look at their tags and their numbers and their data and their keywords and copy them. And it was just such a cluster craze. Like, just like I feel like I could ramble and on and on and on about this. I'll stop myself right now because I literally will go down a rabbit hole just talking about the craziness of what I was processing at the time. Um, and so, yeah, that's what I wanted to share. That's really where mom guilt came from for me. And I feel like a lot of moms also are kind of suffering in silence. Like, I don't really think like mom guilt really gets enough attention as it should in terms of ways to alleviate it. I don't think a lot of stories are being shared enough. I think now more today than more than ever. However, I think a lot of moms are still, for the most part, kind of just like thugging it out, if you will. We're just like, well, this is what it is. Being a mom, this is what we got to do. Um, but I just don't believe that, trying to sweep things under the rug is going to help. And so I just wanted to just have this podcast episode as a conversation piece, of nothing else, just to be able to be vulnerable and be like, look, I know it may look like it was pretty, although you look on the YouTube channel now, none of it was really pretty if you look at it in terms of like comparing it to like obviously the major influencers in the space. But even in that, like the level of like battle and fighting that I was going through behind the scenes internally with that, just to be able to produce that. So yeah, I mean, and then as I spoke about me spiraling down and going through a deep, postpartum depression, in the midst of all that behind the scenes, that, well, very few people knew really, or cared to know, I should say, even to some aspect. But again, being truthful, um, that's when the healing started. Hello, thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. I wanted to stop in here real briefly and invite you all to join the Mama Tribe. If you do so, you can do so by visiting us online at newmommylifetv.com, or you may click the link below the video or the podcast here. It'll take you straight away over to that. There we have our bi-weekly Mama Tribe newsletter, where we share access to important topics that go over homeschooling, our home educational resources, as well as for the new moms or the new mamas to be, how to create and experience an empowered and harmonious pregnancy, prenatal, and or postpartum plan, plus community building and ways to be more loving towards yourself while on your mommyhood journey. And so if you haven't joined yet, we encourage you and welcome you in. And we look forward to connecting with all you mamas out there. And now we're back into our regularly scheduled program. And the healing started when I said I checked into therapy and I found my therapist, the angel that literally came to my life. And so she really helped me navigate a lot of things that I just didn't even have the words to articulate, but she just could read my soul. Like she just could hear my heart. In a way that no one could. And so it was so beneficial for me. And that's when the healing started. And so I wanted to actually pivot here and start talking about that more because, yeah, the chaos and the craziness, yeah, it's part of the story and it's part of, kind of what I personally dealt with. I think even moms who, if you didn't go the influencer route, if you are a full-time working out of the home, if you work part-time out of your home, if you work full-time in your home, you work from home, if you have a home, home-based job, or even if you are just a stay-at-home mom and you completely are just in the home and you take care of your home and manage your children and help your husband manage, his schedule, that's, enough in and of itself. So no matter what aspect of it, I think all moms have dealt with guilt in some regard because there's always going to kind of be that tug of war, if you will, of like, should we or should we not be doing this? Is this really going to be the best uses of our time and our energy? And I know for me, three things that really kind of set the tone for how I'm going to, or how I have been and how I'm going to continue to manage any form of guilt that creeps in. And for one is listening to my heart and knowing that if things are well with my heart, it's going to be well with my soul. And I know that from that point, I'm making a good decision. And I just know that when I quiet the world out, when I'm not listening to other people's opinions and I'm not allowing other people to project their whatever thoughts about me or what they think I should or shouldn't do, I just completely drown all that out and I listen to my heart. Because I know, like, if I'm making the right decisions in terms of what's good with me, there will be no guilt, because there will be no regret, because there will be no looking back and thinking what if, because I made the best decision that was well within me, within my heart, and within my soul. Because nobody can live my life and nobody can ultimately be on the other side of life. Like, I'm going to take that journey by myself. So why would I let someone else's, influence take me off of my path of what I know is right for me, because I listen to myself. Secondly, of how I've been able to heal and deal with the mom guilt is also just being able to just embrace a childlike nature. Like, Kind helps ground me. Like, after this episode wraps, I'm literally going to go outside with her and we're going to go ground in the backyard and it's play. And she got some new glittery toys, some slime toys, and some art supplies. And we're going to practice ukulele. We have our lesson today. And then I have a couple admin things to do and some client stuff to wrap up. And then we're going to just chill. Today's Monday. It's a laid back day. It's afternoon. I'm recording this and we're going to just have a chill day. And so, like, the childlike nature within me had to be reactivated because, again, who or how or why all this mommy pressure came about. I mean, I understand, like, advertising agencies and, like, the bigger picture of money. And yes, we live in a capitalistic society. However, moms have been mommying forever. So who said that we had to have all these gadgets and gizmos? Like, who said that you had to buy 20,000 things for this little tiny little human that's just barely got into the world? Like, who gave us all that pressure? And I had to think about that too. It's like, why am I taking this so serious? Like, life is not meant to be this serious. Like, yes, there's things in life that are serious and important and should be a priority. However, why am I, like, so stressed out all the time over every little thing? Like, that's really ridiculous. Like, I really had to, like, shed myself of that. And so that's where Kind comes in to help, like I said, ground me, to get me back into my childlike nature of just wonder and discovery and fun. Because there is no room for guilt and shame in that, because it's just not even possible. So that was number 2 for me to help heal it and still healed till this day. And then third is boundaries, but boundaries in. And when I say that in terms of, like, having boundaries within myself, so when I say something to myself, I have to be impeccable with my words. So for those of me that know me, I can disappear in the bathtub like no other. I think I was a mermaid in a past life, and I think I probably still am part mermaid. Side note, we went to go see the new Little Mermaid with Halle Bailey. I keep wanting to say Halle Berry whenever I say her name, but I think that's a compliment, because I wouldn't mind being, confused for Miss Beautiful Halle Berry if my name sounded like her. So I'm just gonna say that. But I'm going on a tangent now. But Halle Bailey, so beautiful. To me, they're both beautiful, gorgeous women. So, like, no, obviously that's a given. But yeah, we went to go see The Little Mermaid the other day, and it was fun. So I have a blog post coming up about that, because that film was just amazing to see it come to life and to experience it in a different way. But side note, again, tangent. As you'll probably catch on here, I might get off some little tangents here and there. I'll catch myself and get right back on track. But yeah, the mermaid in me will come out, and I will disappear into a bathtub, and that is where a lot of the healing work is done. And I quiet my mind so that my heart can be completely receiving all the spotlight, which goes back to point number 1 of me listening to my heart. And a lot of that has to do with my boundaries and being impeccable with my word to myself. And so when it's my time to go away and it's my time for me, I make no apologies about it. And my phone is, for the most part, perpetually on D&D, especially when I know that I have inner work and things to do. I don't allow anyone to infringe upon that, because that's the part where a lot of things are revealed to me through my heart space. And so when I'm having that alone time in the tub, relaxing, breathing, no music, sometimes not, some candle lit. I don't like to use the light in the bathroom. We'll just have candles lit and some incense, maybe a little Palo Santo, Epsom salt, and it's just a nice deep dive into myself every evening. And it's also very cleansing too, not only for my physical body, but for my mental and emotional, spiritual space as well, because I'm able to remedy anything during that day that I maybe lingering somewhere in my subconscious mind. A lot of times that stuff will get remedied and cleared out, because I am doing that inner work and taking that time to devote to my self-care and my self-love. And that way the guilt and any shame that possibly was trying to creep in, be it from myself or someone else, doesn't even have the opportunity to get in the door. And so, yeah, those are my 3 ways of how I have healed it and have been healing it. Now we are on phase 8. I would say there's phases to this. There's phase 1, 2, 3, and I feel like we're on phase 8, and I'm saying that's my own personal measurement post, if you will, because she's 8 now. And so I feel like every year of life we're going to go through different phases, and so different healing, different levels, different growth and things. And so yeah, we're on phase 8, and yeah, things are actually getting a lot better. The fact that I'm even able to speak about this stuff and just be at ease. Like, and before, my heart would be racing out of my chest and I wouldn't be able to speak coherently. But that's not the case here. So I definitely know that this is a good, like I said, it's good within my heart and it's good within my soul. And I know that I'm ready to really allow myself to speak freely about things that I think that are very important, that a lot of moms don't either want to, or they don't feel comfortable, or they don't feel like they have a voice. So yeah, so with that, moms, let me know how you feel. Have you dealt with mom guilt? How are you dealing with it? What have you found that's helped you? If any of the 3 things that I shared that have been beneficial for me, if you want to try them out for yourself and see how they work, or if you want to remix it and make it your own, let me know. I would love to hear from you. Also, as I spoke about phases, speaking of phases, the next episode will be about phases of mommyhood, as I've coined it. And that's a very good topic, I feel, that just talks about the different life stages of becoming a mom, as well as your children or your child, and how those are very interconnected, and how we are going to go through different phases that I don't think a lot of moms either were aware of, or maybe just weren't prepared for, or maybe we just didn't know. So I kind of wanted to share some stories and some insights around that. So if you want to go ahead and listen to that over there, you may do so. And yeah, that's all I had for today. Thank you so much again for listening, and I look forward to connecting with you all in the near future.